Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Excellent.
Look at that crowd flowing.
Look at that crowd. 28 so far, 29. Number keeps creeping. I like it. I like it.
Oh, we got
Well,
Jonathan on the call. Would you like
very
to say something, Jonathan?
good. No, he can remain. He's been muted. Well, why don't we kick it off right away here? Yeah, now he's messaging us. Welcome, everyone, and thank you very much for attending the Transchem Clearwash Reclaim System webinar. We're very excited to present these systems today, and in fact, this is actually one of our largest attended webinars. So that's exciting news, and thank you for all the support on that. It's obviously attendees like yourselves that make this happen. So thank you very much for jumping on. As most of you know, we are first a chemical manufacturer of the Turtle Wax Pro and Autolux car wash products, but second, we are a manufacturer of reclaim systems and Soaks self-service car wash equipment. So, hence the webinar today. But again, I'm glad everyone could jump on and join today. With the increase in water regulation, not only at the provincial level and state, but down to a municipality and a county level in the U.S. This obviously represents a pretty important factor of water usage and consumption. And most of you would know a water reclaim system itself can dramatically aid in that operational efficiency and cost of the car wash. So, we're happy and really excited to discuss some of the points of our systems today. From an introduction standpoint, first off, I wanted to introduce myself. I am Mackenzie Cooper, Director of Sales Canada for Transchem. I manage a commercial sales team that essentially sells the chemical and equipment for the Canadian and through direct and distribution markets. We also have on the call today Kevin Reich, who is our equipment operations director and in charge of the Reclaim program itself. And we've also brought on Dan Goff, who's one of our equipment sales representatives, who helps again that kind of go to direct market and distribution market, selling the equipment in chemical to those customer base. And then finally, we have Shay Bagg from our marketing team, who will be the moderator of today's webinar. And we couldn't really do these webinars without the support of marketing. Shay and his team really go above and beyond when it comes to organizing and creating the content for these events. So thank you very much, Shay. I know it's a lot of work. Some of the housekeeping notes just before I kind of pass it off to Kevin. We do have a chat function on the call today. So when it comes to questions and kind of Q&A, feel free to add your questions in to the chat function or just ask them at the end during our kind of Q&A session. And then lastly, we will have an attractive, commercial offer at the end of the actual webinar itself. So kind of please stay tuned for the, we gotta admit one more person there. Yeah, please stay tuned to the end for our Reclaim offer that we have going on for December and into early January. So, Kevin, I will pass it on to you. Thank you very much, and let's jump forward.
Great, thank you, Cooper. Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kevin Reich, the Director of Operations for the Transchem Equipment team. In my role here, I oversee, through my service manager here, our field service team within Ontario, but also as well oversee the development and production of all of our equipment lines. So that is our Soaks pressure wash equipment, including our multi-pro pressure washer, multi-user pressure wash systems, and our Soaks car wash equipment, as well as Clearwash reclaim systems, which is what we're here to talk about today. A little bit of background about me. I've been in the industry essentially my entire life, 30 plus years, directly related to equipment for the vast majority of that time in the industry. My focus has always been equipment, controls, programming, stuff like that. So I've been here as the Director of Operations for the equipment division for just over 2 years now, and have, I have a pretty strong team that works with me, including, field project manager, have an internal mechanical technologist here that looks after some of the drawings. We'll see some of the SolidWorks drawings here in the webinar today, and then a production crew as well as a customer service team. As Mackenzie Cooper mentioned during the call here, if there are any questions, feel free to either raise a hand or throw them in the chat. We can pause at any point, especially if the question's pertinent to the slide up on the screen. So, reclaim in car washing. So, reclaim systems are designed, I think everybody here is fairly familiar on the call with what the idea is here is we are in the car wash industry, we are recycling water that's been used in the wash process, and we're attempting to reuse it in portions of the wash process in order to reduce water consumption, but also reduce environmental impact, but also reduce operating costs, I think is really what most operators are looking for with the water reclaim system. So what a reclaim system actually does from a technology standpoint. Reclaim systems use energy, chemistry, biology, and or time to remove suspended solids from the water. So these are terms like filtration, separation, coagulation, and biological treatment. The idea with reducing suspended solids in that water is that it allows us for safer use in our pumping equipment throughout the wash process. So any of our high pressure pumps typically have a minimum water filtration requirement of about 10 microns. So anything larger than 10 microns in the water can actually cause damage to the pump. The idea with a water reclamation system is we're removing that material from the water to make it clean enough to use in the wash process. Other functions of that reclaim equipment are to reduce the foul odors that are associated with wastewater. That's wastewater being stored underground in tanks. There's bacterial growth. That's going to happen in every situation, in every tank situation. We add oxidizing either chemicals or ozone, which we'll get into a little bit more detail on, to reduce those odors, and also to help treat some of the chemistry and some of the other things in that water as well. One key with reclaim is it's not a magic bullet. As we kicked off this slide at the top, we need energy, chemistry, biology, and time. Those are the building blocks of what we need in order to recycle water. All of those have a cost associated with them. We're not generating water for free. We're not, and the cleaner we intend to get the water, the more it generally costs to filter it. At the same time, what we're always looking to do is balance that cost against our water and sewer charges to the municipalities, and reduce our freshwater usage and our environmental footprint, in the most efficient and effective way possible. So how can Clearwash help? So at Transchem, we build with Clearwash, we build affordable, effective, and simple water reclaim options to support your car wash operation. These are designed and built by people who have ran car washes, operated car washes in the past. We know and understand some of the troubles operators have had with water treatment equipment, and have always worked to address those concerns to make our equipment low maintenance, simple installation, durable. We use stainless steel in all of our framing work. We've got units out in the field that have washed 300,000+ cars successfully. And from an ROI standpoint, on a typical IBA rollover touchless system, we're talking a site with about 20,000 cars of annual car count with our water rates based here in Cambridge. We estimate we can save water and sewer costs up to around $20,000. So what that does with a typical reclaim system is we can recuperate, build an ROI of about 3 years on a typical reclaim system on a single bay automatic. With a life expectancy of the equipment upwards of 10 years, that can be a significant savings over the life of the machine. All of our reclaim systems are manufactured right here in Cambridge by the Transchem Group. We offer a complete product line. We have 2 base systems. One is based for a 40-gallon a minute. The other is 90-gallon a minute. 40-gallon a minute unit is applicable to the rollover automatic market. Either a single touchless or we might be able to use that in like a dual cloth automatic application. And then our 90-gallon a minute units are meant either for multiple in-bay automatics or a tunnel application where we're using much more water in the wash process. From a technology standpoint, the systems use glass media to do filtering, to clean that water down to 10 microns. And then we use ozone injection. So we use a high-powered Corona lamp ozone generator to send ozone back down into the water, into the wastewater tanks underground to fight off any odor, bacteria growth. Also, ozone as an oxidizer can also remove color and scent and other contaminants in that water to make it closer to clear water, as close as possible to be able to use that in as much of the wash process as possible. Our systems are designed to recover and reuse about 60 to 65% of the water in the wash process. The key being not so much about how much water we can recover, it's about the quality of the water coming out and what it can actually be used for. Typical applications in our system are high pressure blasters and high pressure undercarriage washes. In tunnel washes, we can use these on wrap wetters and cloth wetters early on in the wash process, essentially before any sealants or waxes or polishes or anything like that are applied to the car. On the system itself, we use a nice full color touchscreen that has simple controls, full built-in diagnostics. There is troubleshooting capability built right into that controller, along with the full ability to configure a lot of settings on the system. So we can configure time of day for backwashing and how long systems will backwash, and the amount of ozone that's generated and used in the system, so that we can make the system as efficient and as flexible as possible for any application out there. The systems are designed to be low maintenance. We use an automated filter backwashing system. So every night, actually based on the amount of hours the reclaim system has supplied water to the car wash, we will determine whether a backwash is necessary and then start that backwash process. The system we also use is full self-priming pump system. And again, we have onboard diagnostics. Lastly, we do have the ability from the factory here to log into our reclaim systems and do some remote troubleshooting from here. We do not yet have the capability to do that at the customer level, but that capability is coming sometime in the next 12 months. So these are the 2 systems that we offer. Size maybe not quite to scale here. The PR40 unit is a 40-gallon per minute unit, as mentioned. This unit is a little bit more customizable. We can do odor control either via ozone or in a new version of the system. We actually have the ability to inject an oxidizer chemical, actually a couple of oxidizer chemicals into the process to control odor instead of ozone, designed specifically for the single IBA market. And then the 90 gallon per minute unit is our larger tunnel application setup. Again, 90 gallons per minute, strictly an ozone system, useful in either the multi-IBA or the tunnel market. So the system operates simply by pushing water through a multimedia glass media filter. Inside that filter, we're essentially pulling out all of the contaminants, all of the suspended solids in the water. The filtering capacity is significant enough that we can filter a lot of material, a significant amount of material out of the water in a single pass. The key here is that it's on demand, in that we only run the filter system when necessary to supply our wash equipment. We can supply up to 40 gallons a minute, but we don't require that flow in order to achieve our filtering capability, which is a key difference from, if anybody's familiar with a cyclonic reclaim system. Cyclonic reclaim systems require a minimum flow rate to actually perform their filtering to a successful level. With our system, we can essentially filter down to less than 5 gallons a minute of water at a time. So we're completely on demand. So a couple of very, we can get into actually how the cycle of the machine operates. We'll discuss this at a very high level. I won't get too technical into this, but essentially down here in all of these pictures, we have our 3-compartment settling tank. We have our filter media tank here on the system. And then up here in the left-hand corner is our ozone generating system for odor control. So when the wash is in its typical operating mode, where we're actually filtering water and supplying to the car wash, we simply, the pump in the tank down here activates. We push water through the process, through our glass media filter, and right out to the car wash system. If the water in the tank is properly treated with ozone when we're idle, which is what we'll get into in the next step, then the odor control happens throughout the entire process. As long as we keep water moving then, and we're filtering and sending it to the wash, then odor has already been controlled by keeping everything moving and keeping the odor down using ozone in between cycles. So in the second operating mode, when the wash isn't operating, what will happen here is we're still drawing water out of our tank. We still run through the filter cycle, which is quite important here. So we're still filtering and removing the suspended solids from the water. But instead of sending it through the car wash, we're actually forcing that water back through our injection cycle and back into our underground storage tank. This water then will cycle through that tank over and over and over again. And as it's doing that, it's spreading ozone throughout the whole process. That ozone is what attacks the bacteria, which causes the odor in the tanks. Couple of other cycles that we have here, just some keys to the operation of our system. Once the system has detected that it's ran for a certain period of time, or if we detect that our filter media has become clogged with particles from the water, we do have full pressure sensors that do tell us when it is time to perform a backwash, along with a built-in hour meter. We will actually then use fresh city water to run backwards through the filter media, and then that fresh city water is actually recaptured back into the reclaim system to actually be reused in the wash process. So it's not entirely going down the drain, it's being used back in the wash system, but that will actually refresh our glass media to make it essentially brand new again, so that we can continue with our filtering performance. That is something that can happen as often as daily, every night. In a lot of sites, it actually happens every 2 to 3 days. And then the last key here is that our system has an automatic failover point built into it. So we have the ability to run entirely on city water should the system decide diagnostically that it's unable to run and build pressure to supply the car wash. It's fully automatic, it's built into the system. It's not something that we have to add externally or add controls for it. So the idea here is, if for whatever reason the reclaim system decides it can't run, that could be something as simple as there's no water left in the tank, so there's nothing there to recycle, or if it detects a fault with a pressure fault or some other reason why we can't run the system, then we'll fall over to city pressure mode, where we're directly feeding city water out to the car wash. Again, to stress, that is a fully automated process. Any questions on the equipment itself to this point?
Kevin, but just to highlight, that's such an important feature as a backup to have that kind of bypass ability. So thank you for highlighting that. That's an excellent, excellent point.
Okay. Jonathan in the chat here has a question. Sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but can you explain the key differences between using ozone versus biological additives for odor control, such as how each method works, their maintenance requirements, and the situation where one is more effective than the other? Absolutely. So the key difference is ozone is something that we generate from the air. It's essentially concentrated oxygen that is highly reactive, that essentially binds to the bacteria and kills the bacteria in the water. Biological additives are anaerobic bacteria that feed off of the smells that are in the water. They eat the particles in the water that create the hydrogen sulfide that create the smell. One key advantage to ozone is that other than the cost of electricity to generate it, it is free. So we are pulling the oxygen out of the ambient air of the equipment room. We are concentrating it. We turn it into ozone, and we are sending that ozone into the system. So there's no additional cost from a material standpoint. We don't have to add the cost of the chemical or the biological treatment, that additive when we're using ozone. The other key with ozone is that it's fully adjustable. So we use an adjustable duty cycle to control how much ozone we're putting in the water. We can essentially run that ozone for 20%, 30% of a duty cycle of our filtering when we're filtering, all the way up to 80 to 100% if we feel like we need to run ozone all the time in order to control odor. Whereas with biological treatment, one of the keys there is that in order to increase its effectiveness, if we get into a situation where there's a lot of material in that water that needs to be treated, we actually have to add more bacterial, biological, or more chemical treatment additive to that water. Ozone, when we turn the dial up or adjust the controller to have more ozone, the cost is essentially free. We can turn it up at will, and other than a couple pennies a day for electricity, it doesn't cost us anything. Chemical can get quite pricey if we're going to run much more of it in order to treat properly. Key reasons why you'd use one over the other. Ozone is kind of the gold standard for oxidizing treatment in water treatment. It is known to be very aggressive on bacteria and other particles that cause odor. That aggressiveness, though, comes at a bit of a price. It can be hazardous to human health if there is exposure to it within the equipment room. The way we use ozone in our system, it is injected into the treatment water, and it is sealed on the equipment room side of the system. That ozone is sent out to the tank where it has a chance to be in the water, spread out throughout the water, attack what it needs to attack in the water before it bubbles out of the water and becomes active in the air. By that point, it's dissipated and is no longer harmful. In certain situations where the settling tanks are in the equipment room, or they're above ground, or there is a risk of human exposure, it may be beneficial to change to either, in our case, we would use a chemical treatment system that I alluded to, where we actually use a liquid oxidizer. The liquid oxidizer is a dangerous goods. It can be dangerous to handle in its concentrated form, but is generally safer, less likely to have human exposure accidentally. From a customer standpoint, as Mac pointed out here in the chat, it comes down to customer preference in a lot of cases. So moving on, here's a very brief clip of our production facility here. This is actually our wet testing facility at the back of our shop, where we're actually assembling one of our systems. So this is a PR90 system. So there is mechanical assembly, there's PLC programming, there's testing and actuation. testing that happens. We also do have a full wet test setup there where we can fully wet test every single system that goes out the door.
And that's actually how fast we work. Just just showing.
Thanks, Cooper. That's maybe when we bring in a lot of coffee for the team, I would say.
There you go. There you go.
So the end result, these bottled water samples are actually taken from a treatment system recently installed, where we have actually looked at that blackish brown water has come directly from the third compartment of the clarifier. And what's in that bottle at the end is after post-processing, after our glass media filter and after the ozone. I'm sure that's after a couple of cycles in our system. But I've actually seen it here. We've actually got a system live at our office, and I know that after running here for a few days, the water in our tanks were actually clear that you could see to the bottom of the tank. It's actually quite impressive what we were able to filter out of that water. So the maintenance costs of our PR40 and PR90 systems, again, as we mentioned earlier, one of our goals and one of our focuses is on low maintenance costs. So the typical daily maintenance for one of our systems is simply a visual inspection, making sure there's no leaks, and cleaning out the basket on the pump on the system itself. Total time for all of that is probably about 15 minutes for both tasks, other than and at a cost of $0 from a material standpoint. Annually, we look to inspect the ozone lamp. Typically our Corona ozone lamps last 3 to 4 years at a cost of a couple $100 to replace. The media filter itself, the glass media bed, glass media is inert, so it as long as the system is properly maintained and the tanks are properly maintained as well, there is a requirement to keep the tanks regularly pumped out based strictly on the quality of the water coming through the system. That media filter, though, typically we're looking at a 3 to 5 year lifespan in a typical setup. And we typically look at replacing the entire tank and everything. That's a cost of about $2,000. Takes about half a day to do it, but then you end up with essentially a brand new reclaim system again.
But very manageable and low cost is the
that's
point
right.
to sharing this. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. From a service and support standpoint here, we do have a service team here in the Ontario market as well as our Alberta market where we're direct to market. We have a growing distributor base for Clearwash as well throughout Canada and the US. And we do offer full technical training to those teams with an intention of growing that out in the market. We do have one dedicated support person here, along with, in addition to myself, we do have the ability to remotely access the equipment in the field to do troubleshooting. The last piece that I want to talk about from a reclaim equipment standpoint here specifically is our R&D. Here at Transchem, we take R&D and product development very seriously. We invest a lot of time and energy into it every year. Reclaim is no exception, and Reclaim has actually been a pretty big focus for us in R&D in the last 12 months. We do feel for us that it is a growing product line for us, and we have invested significantly in that respect. So a couple of products or a couple of R&D projects we've worked on over the last year and a half or so. Number one is our chemical injection system. So what we've done is, due to customer demand, where we're looking to have the option to offer a non-ozone reclaim system in those situations where that's the preference the customer wants to go. We spent a lot of time and energy developing using our same base PR40 system, but we've added a triple chemical injection system where we have the ability to add 2 different oxidizers, as well as an odor control agent that we manufacture here, to essentially achieve what we typically would achieve with ozone from an odor control standpoint. But as well with the dual oxidizers, we're actually finding very significant performance from a water clarification standpoint as well. The other major R&D project we have happening right now, it is a little small here. I didn't talk a lot about one of the keys to reclaim, but one of the keys to reclaim is always the in-ground tanking system. Settling time in reclaim systems is probably the number one requirement from a site standpoint. We look for water when it leaves the car wash bay, goes down into the tank, goes through the separating tank system, and comes back up to the reclaim. We look for that to be at least 60 minutes, and upwards of 90 minutes is ideal for the amount of time for that water to travel from one end of the system to the other. One of the R&D projects we've taken on this year is to actually add a cyclonic pre-filter to our system, added in such a way that it still achieves our goals of being able to filter at varying flow rates, and also be highly reliable and fully automatic in operation. So what we've done is we've developed a cyclonic filter system that we have a self backwashing mode in it that's fully automated. We've actually tested this system here at our facility in Cambridge, and expect to have it functional at a site sometime early in 2026. But the key here is that cyclonic filter is there to remove some of the suspended particles in the water that are larger, that in a small tank system haven't had the time to settle out of the water yet. Those would be detrimental to run through our glass media filter. It would actually could overwhelm that filter in a shorter period of time than we would like. And in this case, by adding this cyclonic or centrifugal filter, pre-filter to the system, we can actually remove a lot of those bigger particles quite easily, very effectively, and by using a minimal amount of water to backwash those out to the drain. And that allows us at the end of the day to reduce our required settling time from 90 minutes, ideally, probably down to about 30 minutes or so, which is quite exciting because that could allow us to put reclaim systems in places we never thought we could previously.
And Kevin, you're highlighting a very important piece when it comes to sizing. In a net new scenario, sizing that appropriate to the tanks and to water consumption up front is obviously extremely important, and setting a realistic expectation of the system itself. We are advertising that our systems have the ability to do 65% reclaim, kind of capture and reuse, but understanding what applications to use reclaim in, and of course sizing them appropriately up front is an extremely important piece. So I appreciate the highlight of that. And of course, when it comes to the chemistry portion, from an R&D perspective, Transchem itself, we put a significant effort into our reclaim chemistry technology, and it's an ongoing R&D process, as we know. The market and chemistry and road films and many different variables change. So Transchem as a whole and an organization always looking to consistently add to their product breadth and reclaim technology product. But that's basically our commitment to our customers, always be in front and ahead of the R&D process, and always offer our customers an excellent chemistry selection to go along with their car wash and appropriate reclaim situation. So, but I think if you go to the next slide, what we have right now, we can discuss I believe it's the offer that pops up there. Be hitting next.
I'm trying to get it to. There we go.
There we go. There we go. So Before we go into the Q&A, just wanted to kind of to close on the actual Clearwash offer piece. Obviously, we are going to have this offer going until January 16th of next year. This is available to all of our Canadian and US customers. You can definitely reach out using the info@transchem.com email there, or of course you can always reach out to myself, Kevin, or Shay on the call as well. So if there are any other questions? I don't see any on the chat function, but maybe Shay, do we have any pre-sent in questions possibly?
Yeah, I have a list of questions here from things that I would call as frequently asked when it compares to Reclaim in general that we heard at trade shows and the like. How about you get the Max question first in the chat? I can read that out. It's would we be willing to add distributors for the Clearwash line?
Absolutely. We are always looking for new distribution in North America and always open to that discussion.
We'll save my questions for the end.
A
question in the chat.
Now
Yeah,
they're
go ahead.
flooding in, right? Can you give an average price for a reclaim system for 90-gallon per minute setup? So that would be, we would have to look at that a little differently because if that's going into the US market or the Canadian market, but Kevin, can we generalize a 90-gallon per minute price from a retail perspective?
Yeah, I believe in Canadian dollars, we're at that $52,000 to $55,000 Canadian
range. Yeah.
Range. Yeah.
Any more questions before we jump to Shay?
Okay, let's go with one question, which I've heard a lot of regarding our systems and Reclaim in general. Do Reclaim systems affect the customer experience at all, and how so? And I guess a question that you'll probably answer with that, and something I would like to know is when should Reclaim water be used in the wash process?
Okay. So our reclaim systems are designed, as mentioned, to recycle about 60 to 65% of the water. So in order to be effective from a customer experience standpoint, if everything is properly sized and we're not running over capacity, we generally can use that reclaimed water, up to where final rinsing and waxes happen on the vehicle. So, and reclaimed water, because at times there can be a little bit of extra chemistry in it, it actually can increase cleanliness if we're using that early on in the wash process. Things like rocker blasters, high pressure blasting, undercarriage washes, stuff like that. Places where we don't really care what the finish of the vehicle is because we still have a lot of washing to do. But that water can still be effective to do its job. Heavy mud blasting and stuff like that, especially as well. Properly functioning reclaim system, we shouldn't have odor. If we were actually having problems, then that's a situation where that can affect the customer experience. I know that one of our sites here, one of our tunnel washes here in Kitchener, I know I frequently wash there, has a reclaim system that we supplied in it. And generally you can't tell in the wash process where that reclaimed water is used. And I think that's probably the key from a customer experience standpoint is that as long as that odor is controlled effectively, it shouldn't make any difference in the customer experience if it's used properly. At the end, where we're concerned about things like finish and spotting and stuff like that, that's where we need to make sure we're using either fresh water or spot-free rinse water to rinse vehicles.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Okay.
I have another one here.
Okay.
as you mentioned, the demand for reclaim has grown a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of environmental considerations we have in the market. Even getting a license to open a new wash requires you to kind of have those plans set in place in some certain areas. But in terms of the car wash market in general, would reclaim be a useful addition for all washes, or perhaps some washes can get away with it or should not consider it? Just kind of who should be maybe interested in considering that in the next future plans in the next 5 years, 10 years or so?
So I believe that all new washes, all new to market washes should be considering reclaim in their building plans. If they're not putting them in, if customers aren't putting them in at the time where they're being built, during construction is the time to put those tanks in the ground. Plan ahead, have the tanks in the ground, have the plumbing in place, so that you can be ready to do it. Should the municipalities dictate it at your location. The big consideration is always ROI. With the way water rates and sewer rates and surcharges and stuff like that have increased in many municipalities across Ontario here, especially, we've come to a point where those costs have exceeded what that ROI looks like. So it's become now ROI effective to put in reclaim equipment in almost every situation. There are very few situations where water and sewer costs are low enough where we can't at least have some savings with a reclaim system.
Nice. Another question I hear a lot is regarding training regarding reclaim systems. So whether it's a distributor or if somebody was actually looking to get it inside their wash, what can they expect from a support standpoint from Transchem in that regard?
Okay. So we do have a full training facility here at our facility in Cambridge. Customers, distributors, we're more than welcome to have people in to do a full training seminar. Because we do have a live system running here at the shop, we can actually, go through all of the physical, technical details of the equipment live, hands-on. In small groups, we can have groups of up to probably 4 people in here at a time to do that level of detail. Also, in this day and age of technology, we can certainly offer online training seminars for the operation and maintenance and service of the reclaim equipment as well.
Great. And last question that I have is regarding when someone is looking at the reclaim options on the market, how does Clearwash compare to others in terms of performance, in terms of maintenance? I know you touched on some of those earlier, but just when it looks at comparing kind of the breadth of the market, what can they expect from Clearwash?
Yeah, so I would say Clearwash is a very much kind of in the middle of the market reclaim system. Performance-wise, produce good high quality water that can be used through, like I say, 60 to 70%, 60 to 65% of the wash process. Future R&D likely will involve us developing, polishing systems and stuff like that would allow us to use through more of the wash. That's kind of a bit of a difference for us compared to other equipment, is that we don't yet have that ability to supply that 100% reclaim system. But what we do at the 60%, 65% level, we do very well. Simple, reliable, durable equipment that doesn't require, we don't have filter media like bags or filter cloths or stuff like that have to be regularly cleaned and replaced. So from a cost standpoint on a maintenance, I think our system is quite affordable to operate. The cost of ownership is quite low.
Great, thanks, Tran, for the answers.
And Gerald asked a question in regards to just ensuring that USD and the Canadian price difference. So generally speaking, the PR40 would be around that 29 to 30 thousand USD, and then the PR90 would be that kind of 39 through 40 USD range. Just to clarify. Okay, great. Not a problem. Any other last minute questions? Anything else we can answer today?
I just put in the chat, if anybody would like to learn more about the systems, please feel free to reach out to either that email up above, the info@transchem.com, or if you'd like to just kind of learn more about the systems in general, or again, the kind of the role Reclaim plays in today's market, you can reach out to Kevin directly for, you know, some nice expert insights.
Perfect.
Great. Thank you very much, Shay.
Yeah, thank you, Shay. And again, thank you everyone for jumping on today. Really appreciate the attendance. As we stated earlier, we're really excited that this was one of our highest attending webinars. So that's exciting. And thank you very much again, Shay.
Last minute question. Sorry.
Well, let me finish.
Scorecard.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we got here? What reclaim percentage should a wash target before it begins to negatively impact wash quality?
That's going to be very, very site specific. But I think the key there is that because we're not controlling dissolved solids in the water with a reclaim system, is that anything that is kind of that waxing, rinsing, and anything beyond finishing arches and beyond in a typical tunnel wash, or in an IBA where we're talking about after the main high pressure rinse where we're starting to apply sealants and stuff like that. That's the kind of the point. And typically at most sites, that's 60 to 65%. If we're looking to reclaim more than that, that's where we start to impact wash quality, is where we're starting to put water where that's probably not clear enough for that rinsing process at the end. Does that answer the question, Jonathan? Perfect.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you everyone for jumping on. Really appreciate the attendance. Thank you, Shay and the marketing team. You obviously do a lot to put in the content and organize these events. So we're really appreciative to have you guys on the team and working hard. So thank you very much, everyone. Have an excellent day and reach out to us, please, if you have any further questions pertaining to any of the information that we shared today. Look forward to speaking with everyone. Have a great day.
Also, special shout out for Coop to do this when he's not feeling so well. Thank you, Coop. Thanks, team. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.